Welcome to Life, Lessons, and Legacy. So, what are some of your personal and professional goals right now?
Okay. Yep. So, interesting, very interesting question. I'm actually, I was in the process. We were doing this new little goal setting system that that we talked about our whys and how they
Hmm.
really help propel us with different things they find and research
Hmm.
and know. But my wife found this lady that has this dang, I can't remember the name of the planner in the system.
Okay.
Anyway, you start with a goal and then you work backwards.
Okay.
You start with the big goal and you work backwards.
Okay.
How the system works.
Okay.
But it my personal and career goals are probably um kind of one and the same, really. Well, I take that back. They can kind of meld together. So personally, my goal right now um, is to put myself in a position where um, this year, where it propels me to take care of my family in a much larger sense, financially, emotionally, spiritually. Um, so in order to do that, um, it my career goal has to be met, right?
Correct.
Um, which is me following what I believe my purpose to be,
Hmm.
which is helping as many people as I can um, find education and the knowledge of how home ownership is beneficial and why it can lead to generational wealth.
Okay.
So if I believe if I do that career wise, um, I will meet the standards for my personal goal.
Okay.
Um, because with with the financial success, I feel like it creates less stress for me and creates more opportunity for me to spend time with my kids and my wife and
Hmm.
make sure everybody's taken care of. Like I said, emotionally, spiritually, physically, all those in all those ways. Also, one of the big things we started doing this year was like um, so therapy.
Hmm.
Therapy is a thing that's kind of taboo, right? So we, as a family, we actually all go to therapy. Um,
Amen.
because it's just it's we talk mentally. There are a lot of things that I hear that affect us mentally. You don't even realize it
Hmm.
until it's too late, right?
Hmm.
And so just going through the process of me, I probably was the last one because I'm slow about it, but
Being
going to
stubborn a little bit, being a little stubborn.
but yeah, so but going through the process, man, and just trying to make sure that the family and myself that we're taking care of um um whole, the
Hmm.
whole person and not just certain areas. So we want to be made whole and just take care of those different aspects of our lives mentally, emotionally, physically, relationally.
Hmm.
Um, we want to have life and have it more abundantly. And in order to do that, I think um, we need to be um, touching those different aspects
Hmm.
of our lives in order to be well rounded. That's the word
Hmm.
I was looking for. I couldn't find well rounded.
Hmm.
And then guess what? Your life is going to be so much better for it. So
Hmm.
those are the goals for me.
Okay. Hey, I have something to say about that, and I think it's huge because I know, and all communities, but I know especially in the Black community, therapy is very taboo. Like most people don't want to go to therapy. They think if they go to therapy, then that means we have issues. But I'm like, everyone has issues, and like a lot of issues, like you say, they're underlying. We don't even realize we have an issue until you go to a therapist and like, I've been doing this my whole life.
Right.
and that wasn't the right way to respond to X, Y, and Z. So I think it's huge what you and your family are doing. Because my family, we've been talking about going to therapy because it's so many different things that are just kind of like generational wealth is passed down, kind of like generational curses, or just I say generational thinking, like those negative connotations, those negative ways to react. I know growing up, I really don't drink much. I drink a little bit of wine with my wife or whatever, but I don't really drink much. And the reason why is because of what I saw growing up as a child.
Right.
And that was passed on. People would start drinking, people would start fighting, somebody gets shot or stabbed, or the police are involved. So
Right.
I think it's huge, and I think it's part of growth as a man and as a father and as a husband to say, okay, you know what? I'll go to therapy. Let's all go to therapy because we're looked at to lead. And if you're not willing to go, then how can I tell them to go to therapy? So I think it's just huge. I think that's a huge blessing for you and your family to just go to therapy and just to actually acknowledge, okay, like we go to therapy, and it helps us because the
Right.
people that really need therapy usually don't even want to go. And you think of all the things we grew up in. You grew up in what you say the poor state or the poor city in the poor state. So
The
think of
poorest
all.
county in the poorest
Oh, my
state.
bad. Yeah. Oh, don't
It,
leave. Don't
it
leave the
might
trifecta out.
it might be the poorest city too. Who knows? Nah,
Yeah.
we got some cities that
Yeah.
rough out
Yeah.
there. So
You got a couple of Walmart. You got a Walmart and a McDonald's. Like you might be okay, but
we had a Sonic and a Piggly Wiggly.
oh, I remember Piggly Wiggly. Yeah, but it's huge because you think there like a lot of things you probably saw growing up that could have easily been fixed and addressed had someone
Right.
been willing to go to therapy. Another thing I realized about trying to, my book is Life Lessons and Legacy, talking about trying to create a legacy. One of my biggest goals is creating generational wealth, and knowledge is wealth. And so I say that to say by going to therapy, you're getting a chance to help your children and your wife and yourself grow mentally because you can be physically as strong as you want to be, but
Right.
if you're mentally not there, it doesn't really do you any good. So by going to therapy and working through issues, it will give those tools they need to handle the generational wealth. Because I know a lot of times I go to auctions, and man, it's the most heartbreaking thing you're ever going to see. A person may have worked their whole life to buy a house, like you said, or a piece of land or whatever, and man, their kids, they haven't learned anything, they don't care, and they'll sell it for pennies on the dollar. And this
Right.
person worked their whole entire life for this.
Right.
So, but I'm getting off subject. But back to the therapy, I think that's huge. I look forward to you and I talked once before, and I was saying I was looking for a therapist for my family. So, yeah, big
Yeah.
time kudos, brother, big time.
Yeah. Yeah. I won't take credit for it, but it's part of the
It's part of the
the
partnership.
setup,
Yeah.
part of the partnership. It's the setup. Yeah. But it's important though. My kids they actually love it. So
Yeah.
um they be like you set up my therapy appointment because I set all the appointments
Okay.
and they like you set my therapy appointment. I'm like, oh yeah, let me set it. Yeah, they be on me, man.
Yeah, they be on your
They
head.
they like going to therapy. It's a I think it's a relief from
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, it is. Because you can tell your therapist what you really think. You can't tell your parents all the time. They're like, hey, you can tell me just a little bit. Hey, don't get out of
Yeah,
pocket.
get on
So
my nerves. My mom get on my nerves. She made me sick. Whatever the case may be.
and no consequences for telling the truth. Like, yeah, she get
No
on my nerves.
consequence.
Hey, the guts. Yeah. All right. So hey, so you were talking about your personal goal, and you said your professional goal kind of ties into it, what you're trying to actually help people with home ownership and just kind of empowering them.
Yeah.
Um, I have a question. So just we talk about lessons, life lessons, and all that stuff in a second. But do you have any story that kind of sticks out in your head from someone that you helped with home ownership? That one of those moments you're like, aha, this is why God made this my purpose. Like this, I'm doing good in the world.
Yeah. Um, I have several, man, but I don't know why this lady in the Delta just keeps I
Mhm,
kind of talked about that earlier, but she keeps
mhm,
sticking out because I think most of the people, especially if they're in DeSoto County,
mhm,
Memphis, most of Memphis, I say, has been exposed to it in some shape, form, or fashion,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
Um, and if you're listening, you don't know DeSoto County is probably the richest. Um, I don't like to say the word richest. It's probably the uh, one of the, I just say richest because I can't
Okay,
think of another
I
word.
got you.
One of the
Affluent or
richest
whatever,
counties,
maybe. Yeah,
affluent counties
yeah,
in Mississippi. So the average income in DeSoto County is way higher than probably anywhere outside of what Biloxi and Jackson.
especially
Uh,
Delta.
yeah,
So
especially the Delta. And
yeah.
so just that the lack of resources and knowledge that they have there,
Mm-hmm.
that just sticks out to me anytime I can help someone in the Delta, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like I said, this lady, um, I'm probably gonna say too much, I ain't gonna say too much, but this lady, she, man, she just was in amazement that this could happen. Now, it's been people in the Soto County has been
Mm-hmm.
excited and amazed too, but their knowledge still is way more
Right.
than what she was, and then just being able to walk her step by step. It was her and her mom walk
Mm-hmm.
them step by step, help them get grant funds for down payment assistance that
Okay.
a lot of people don't know. I don't have the money.
Right.
No, there are programs out there that will,
Mm-hmm.
if help you purchase your first home.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to talk to a professional and see what you can qualify for to help you do that. But yeah, that situation was very inspiring and it made me like feel like, I think that was probably the first time I felt like, because the way I felt after
Mm-hmm.
closing, I was like, this is it. This is
Mm-hmm.
what I think I should be doing. I should be really um pouring into these people this education that I have that I take for granted,
Mm-hmm.
and say these are things that we can do to change the trajectory of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I take it for granted because I was like, what I have to offer people,
Right.
and the things that I've experienced in life, the blessings I've received in life. I feel like all the pain and all that stuff, all the mistakes, all that stuff happened
Mm-hmm.
for this moment where I can tell people, here's what you do. Or I
Mm-hmm.
can tell people, this is what you need to know
Mm-hmm.
to reach your goals. Like, you should have goals. So some
Right.
people don't realize they should have goals. They just
Mm-hmm.
wake up
Every
and
day.
every day and you know staying with mama, staying with
Mm-hmm.
auntie,
Yep.
a grandma.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't, and that's the big, especially like we in Memphis. That's the biggest thing. These most of these young kids, they don't have goals. They don't.
Mm-mm.
They just
Every day.
wake up. I'm finna listen to this.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Get high
watch
today
this. Get high today. Do this. Um,
and start over
they
tomorrow.
there's nothing that they're reaching for.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you got something to reach for, your perspective on life is gonna be totally different.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I want to be able to do, inspire people to reach for something they never even thought of.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I can do that through teaching people about home ownership.
That's huge, man. And you think, but it's kind of like God helping people, but helping them through you. Because, like you said, you helped not only one generation, which was the grandmother, you helped two generations, which was the mother. And by helping those two generations, you may have helped the next generation because now their kids remember, oh, my mom had a house or my grandmother had a house, so I can get a house. I say
Right.
it's kind of like growing up in a two-parent household. Like that was something that was big for me. Like I wanted my kids to grow up in a two-parent house. And I know, it's not idealistic for some people. Some people, it just doesn't work out. I get that. But it was something because I wanted my kids to think, okay, well, it's supposed to have a two-parent house. So I'm supposed to raise kids with a spouse. And the same thing with homeownership. Once you open their eyes to the fact that, okay, my mom got a house, so now I can get a house.
Hmm.
Instead of, well, every month we're trying to figure out how we're gonna pay our rent or where we're gonna stay. Like I said, wherever grandma has to stay, we're gonna stay there. And the thing you said about the Memphis and the city, a lot of the problems are like again, there's no positive role models. There's no goals, and then crime is out of control because they're not having any real consequences. But I say it to say, a couple of weeks ago, I did a keynote speaking engagement, at Invictus Academy, which I honestly had never really heard of the school, but it's an alternative
Mhm.
school,
Mhm.
and kids they graduate like I think every 6 months because,
Mhm.
or maybe even every quarter because what they're dealing with. And man, I was talking to those kids, and it was crazy because like I could really see myself in some of those kids. I was blessed enough that I grew up in the projects, grew up with my grandmother, but I was blessed enough to have my grandmother, somebody who poured into me. We didn't
Right.
have much in the way of food or finances, but as far as love, I never felt like I need to join a gang or, do anything stupid for love because I got that. But I realized some of those kids that have it, there was a kid that was crying because the police officers were like, look, if they're not here in 10 minutes, we're locking these doors. They were police officers walking through the parking lot, like making sure nobody was breaking into cars. And this girl was just crying, like, I finally made it. And they might not see me graduate because they're late. So
Mm.
it was just different. Like, these it's alternative school. So these kids are the
Right.
same kids you might see on the news that just did a carjacking. They got out, they did the little time, they got out, and now they're back in. It was just crazy, but just talking to them, man. So I'm up there and first of all, it's extremely hot. They had the heater on. I had on a suit. I had on, yeah, it was hot. It was hot. You got the hat, cap and gown on yourself. It's like a sweat box. So I'm almost like, don't pass out, first of all, because it's a little hot. But but once I stand up and start talking to them, um, it was pretty nice because you could see the ones that really just bought into. I remember there was this little Latino kid, and man, like every word I said, this kid like looked me dead in my eye. He took it all in. And there was a couple other kids. There was one girl, I think I don't know her name. I'm sure but she's a rapper. And I'm like, huh? She's a rapper. So she has goals.
Mhm.
And I think she graduated like 16.
Mm.
But I say it to say, I think one of our jobs is as men of a certain age, is to reach back and try to teach somebody. Of course, I tell people I can't save everybody, but you can at least try. And I think graduating class was like 40 people.
Right.
Out of 40 of them, even if it's just 3 or 4 that I reached that night,
Yeah.
because that one of those 3 or 4 that I just say might be the one that's not gonna rob me one day, or my kid, or
Right.
end up
And
going to jail.
who no telling how many they can reach. So
Yeah.
every every one of us has a metron, a sphere of people that we are supposed to be influencing.
Mm-hmm.
It like you said, your metron, your sphere may be only a few people, but guess
Mm-hmm.
what? One of those people that you influence, their metron or their sphere may be hundreds of thousands of people,
Yeah.
millions of people.
Yeah.
So don't take for I would say don't ever take for granted if you touch two, if you touch one, don't take for granted how that can just spread like wildfire
Mm-hmm.
by you changing that one person's life that they change millions of people's lives. That
Yeah.
and you still so essentially you've touched millions of people's lives
Mm-hmm.
by touching that one person's life.
Yeah.
So we just have to, like you just said, understand everybody's not gonna hear what we gotta say,
Right.
but the person who's supposed to will.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I had it was funny because I had a parent that reached out to me. So I got a message on Facebook and I was like, I don't know this person. I thought it was like, somebody been hacked or something. But it was actually a parent that was in the stands that heard my message. He said, he heard me talking, and then
Yeah.
I think it was a compliment. I'm not sure, but he said he heard me talking, and he was like, what I sounded like was not what I looked like because I was telling my story about my father killing my mother and all that, and
Mhm.
he was like, man, I was really inspired. People need to hear this. So like you said, but you never know who you're touching, who you're pouring into. Because I was talking to the kids. They didn't think I was talking to the parents, and I thought they were just playing on their phones and doing. As a matter of fact, he said he was playing on his phone until I started talking. So you never know. I think it's huge, man. I think it takes getting to a certain age, you start realizing the influence that you do have. Kind of like your situation with, you started you and I both. We started off out of college just looking for a job, just being happy to have a job. I remember my first job, I got because one of my track teammates told me, I was like, I'm about to graduate. I don't have a job. He's like, well, come on up here. You villagers will hire you. And I'm like, I don't even know what that is. And I was like, how much do they pay? He said they pay 23,000 and it's a salary job. Never had a real job in my life. I mean, I worked at Goodies, so I don't know that.
Yeah, we talked about the goodies,
Yeah,
yeah, because I was at
man.
goodies.
Woo, I had no clue that my check was gonna be
Awkward.
747 every 2 weeks. and my rent was $650. I was like, I'm going here every day for this. Like I get paid on Friday, and Friday night I was pretty much broke by the
You
time I
broke.
paid the,
Yeah. Yeah.
back. It's something funny. We'll keep going, but I remember Temp and I were talking about going to Walmart, and
Mm-hmm.
you get paid on Friday, so hopefully money's in your account. You write a check. We'll go to Walmart on like Thursday, the day before you got paid. You
Mm-hmm.
write a check, and they back then they floated them. They like you
Mm-hmm.
write it on
Mm-hmm.
Thursday, might they go out to like Friday, Saturday,
Right.
just being in line like, okay, please, please, and it
Mm-hmm.
going through, and I'm like, that seems very foreign to me now. But I tell people all the time, like, it's like baby steps. You get like everybody, because of the society we live in with social media. You think like I got to
Right.
have an idea today, and tomorrow I got to be a millionaire. It doesn't work that way,
Right.
and that's what humbles me. It brings me back to being there. Like we can afford to get Frosted Flakes today if this check goes through. Like because it might not. So
Right.
I don't know, but
Yep. Swiping a card that after 4 o'clock.
woo, like woo, like, running this credit. Like what? Yeah, yeah. So all right.
Yeah.
So say what, George?
I said, yep.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
make you be like, okay, I remember. Um, so my next question is, what life lessons have you learned, and that you probably like to pass on to the next generation?
Boy, that's a deep question.
Because it's a lot of them. Yeah.
That's
Like you mean
a
today?
long
Yeah.
question. Long question. I, I think the biggest life lesson, and it's been a theme. It's kind of been a theme of my conversation.
Mhm.
Biggest life lessons I've learned, and like I said, this is really over the last few years, couple of years, is um, understanding your purpose and
I,
why you were created.
and I'll piggyback off that right quick before you say that. I talked about in my book, and I talk about it all the time. People, that's huge because people. I know I'll speak for myself. When I was in high school and college, I said, I don't care what the job is. If it
Hmm.
pays me well, I'll do it and I'll be happy. But as you get older, you realize that's nothing can be farther from the truth.
Right,
You can make in $300,000 a year and be miserable because you're like
right.
it's incomplete, it's empty. So like you say, when you find your purpose, and something else I've learned, and I'm sure you're gonna probably piggyback off this too,
Hmm.
is that if you find your purpose that God gave you and you do your purpose, then God will take care of you financially.
We take care of.
Yeah,
I no worries. Yep,
yeah. So
yep.
okay, so I'm sorry I didn't jump in here. So
Nah,
so life
that's
lessons.
perfect. That's perfect. You find your purpose. I repeat exactly what you said. You will be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you're gonna be taken care of not only financially, you're gonna be taken care of emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be taken care of relationally, spiritually, all those things because you are doing what you were created to do, and everything is just gonna vibe with you.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna enjoy what you're doing. You're gonna find favor in what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to find fulfillment in what you're doing. It's going to be your thing, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's the kind of number one, finding your purpose, and it's not an easy task by any
Uh-oh.
means. It is
You need the
it
mistakes.
really it's really not. So you're gonna have to go through the rigmarole to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I would say finding your purpose. I would also say um, consistently connecting with God. I didn't do that, especially in in college.
I don't think any
That
of
was
us did
not
in college. Yeah,
that
yeah.
was not part of my daily routine,
Other than a
and
prayer at night, huh? That was it.
I didn't even pray. I got up and whatever, and I grew up in the church, but
Right.
it wasn't part of my college. I would say after my freshman year, it probably wasn't part of my
Yeah.
even the church part. Like I didn't go to church.
Yeah. Me neither.
I didn't do none of that.
Yeah. I grew up in
And
the church too. Yeah.
so I was really far away from God. So I would say consistently staying connected with God
Mm-hmm.
is a because this will keep you out of so much hurt and trouble
Yep.
and 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 mess that
Yeah.
you that
Sleepless
in
nights.
my in my older age, I'd be like, man, that would have never happened if I just
Never.
would have stayed here. I
Yep.
would never. gotten this if I would stay here.
Mm-hmm.
So stay under him and in his will and doing what he do. And
Yep.
these are these are lessons to keep you from making the mistakes that I made.
Mm-hmm.
So what I say, so finding, figuring out what your purpose is, staying connected with him, because you staying connected with him, he gonna help you figure out
Yep.
these are the talents that you have. This is what you enjoy doing. This is what fulfills you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you find that exact niche that you have
Mm-hmm.
and what you're supposed to be doing. Um, so I'm gonna try to give you three, and
Okay.
the third one I would say would be to create lasting relationships.
Amen.
Relationships um, are vital, and you have to know how to nourish your
Mm-hmm.
relationships. You have to know how to cater to the relationships that you have to make sure that they are growing and that they are not only growing, but they are valuable to all parties involved.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want a relationship with someone who's just using you. So be
Mm-hmm.
able to discern what relationships are valuable to me,
Mm-hmm.
what relationships that I give value to other people, because it's a you want to get value and give value. You don't want to be the one always
Taken.
giving,
Yeah.
getting taken from, and you
Mm-hmm.
being used. So be able to discern those relationships, because it's part of everything that we do, and that again that falls under that connection. If you staying connected,
Mm-hmm.
you'll be easily to see those relationships that are just not for you, and
Mm-hmm.
you need to get out.
Yep.
So those are my, I guess, big three
Okay.
life lessons that I would share. Now I just share this story too,
Okay.
um, because some relationships have a season.
Mm-hmm.
So you may be in a great relationship with somebody for years and years, and then one thing happens where you realize, okay, I don't need to proceed with this person, or a couple things, and you just because it depending on how deep the relationship is, you want to understand how like, oh, they made a mistake, I forgive them.
Right.
um, and you want to understand. You think you know the person, and then they show them true selves.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a very forgiving person. So I always say, I heard this saying before: if somebody show you who they are, believe them.
Trust them.
Uh,
Trust them to be who they are. Trust them.
so and not to say people can't change, because I think God can change anybody. So, but you need to be able to discern.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the stop where I need to get off that train?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So um I had a friend for years and years and years. And it just it kind of made me feel, I say hurt me a little bit,
Oh, it hurts. Yeah.
because it was he was and it's just that he was going through something, and he didn't want to take, you know, he didn't want to take the advice. But then when I started looking back, I was
Mm-hmm.
like, man, he was just really, he never poured into me. I was always pouring into him. I was
Yep.
always trying to give him
Uh-huh.
advice. I was always trying to um, get him out of trouble. I was
Yep.
always doing this. And then so I thought back over it, and I was like, you know, when the big blow up happened,
Mm-hmm.
it was like, God made me okay with it, because I was able to look back and understand, yeah, that was the best thing for me,
Mm-hmm.
uh, is to not be in that friendship anymore. And that was really this honestly, that was probably the first time that a friendship ended, that I had a friendship in that type of manner.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have friends and you just
Kind of
y'all go off
go
y'all
apart.
separate
Yeah.
way, but it was like I ain't talking to this dude no more.
Right. I'm trying not to fight this cat. So yeah, yeah.
So I never. So that just goes, and I'm 42. So I'm
Okay.
42, be 43 next month. Yay.
Uh,
But I'm
that's what I'm talking about.
42.
Yeah.
And that and that's still happening to me even
Yeah.
at age. So that's why you have to be. That's a big part of life is how you handle relationships.
Well, I have a question. Do you think if the younger version of yourself would have been able to make that discernment that okay, maybe this season is over for me and this person as far as a friend, because you want to see the best of them because this is your friend, right?
Yeah,
So you don't think
I
the
look.
younger version?
I don't know. I don't think so because I had I had a situation and when I was younger that I had a friend that I found out. I still don't know to this day, to be honest, but everybody's pointing in the direction
Mm-hmm.
that he was kind of doing some things behind my back,
Mm-hmm.
and
So be your
and maybe
boy.
yeah,
Okay.
and so maybe robbed my apartment at one time. I don't know. I I,
Yeah, he
I
probably
don't
should.
know.
Yeah, you definitely distance yourself from him. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did at the time, but I still look back and because I don't know, and I
Right.
still and
Do
I
you have
wasn't in the
hope?
mindset, yeah, and I in the mindset like we were pretty close, and
Mm-hmm.
so I don't. So to this day I still don't know, and I feel like did he really do that?
You get the benefit of the doubt, George. Like maybe he really did. I know he got the shoes that I had in my closet, but maybe he did steal out my apartment. Yeah.
But man, he's now I would say I follow him on Facebook. He's it looks from that point, God, it looks like God has really um made some change in his life, and so
Okay.
every blue moon he'll say something, I'll say something like on Facebook,
Right.
but I don't know if we'll ever be where we were at that point. But you still can have relationships and keep people at a distance as well. So again, how you
Yeah,
manage relationships is a vital lesson
it
in life.
is.
So yep.
I will say this, and we they don't know. We got to restart again. But yeah, because somebody told me that I was talking to some young lady and she said, Cedric, God fills your cup with blessings and he wants you to, you pour out your cup, but you never empty your cup because if you empty your cup, you don't have anything left for your family or yourself. And
Mm,
she said,
yep.
when people take, they'll empty your cup. They won't take the
They empty
foam off
your
the
cup
top. Yeah, they won't take the foam off the top, which you're supposed to give them. They'll empty that joker
and
and be dry
to
and
the
be over there
drop
drinking juice. And you're like, man, my
and
cup
ask them
kind of
for some
dry.
more.
Right.
And ask.
When you get your next cup of juice, can I get some of that too? You're like, I'm over here about to die. So she told me that I never forgot that. She said, you pour from the excess of your cup. When your cup runneth over because God pours blessings into it, then you pour in other people's cup. But you can't empty your cup because then you still have a family to go home to pour into.
Right.
And we both we have to restart, but we both had jobs where it takes everything you got by the time you get home, and the people that you deal with, especially with family, that they empty your cup and you get home, you're like, huh? We gotta do what today? You just want to sit down, but you can't.
Yeah, you just want to sit down, watch TV, just and decompress.
Yep. I got one more question for you, and I got one more small part. But so my question is, what do you think about your legacy? What like when I say that, I mean, what legacy do you think you've created so far, and what would be your ultimate legacy you'd like to leave for yourself and for your family? I guess on the world, the impact you like to make on the world.
Man, you coming with the haymakers. I that's a great question. I'm still honestly though, I'm still processing that. I I know one thing I do want to be remembered. I want my legacy. I want my kids to be in a better position than when I was when I come in. Not to say my
Mhm.
parents didn't do the best they can
Right.
with what they had and with the knowledge they had, but I want to give them a even you stand on the what's the saying, you stand on the
The
shoulders of
shoulders of.
giants.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to um, follow my purpose
Mm-hmm.
and let it take care of me. Let it take care of my legacy. Be
Gotcha.
honest, and I
Gotcha.
want my kids to be able to see that and say, my dad did what
Mm-hmm.
he was supposed to do,
Mm-hmm.
and my dad lived a way. He had a heart for people. My dad, um, my dad, care for people. My dad was my dad put some things in place for us to be
Mm-hmm.
successful.
Mm-hmm.
My dad gave us knowledge to be successful. Um, and as far as the world, almost kind of a similar thing minus the success. I do want to be able to touch people's lives in a way that we already spoke about,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to know that I'm responsible for doing what I feel like God is telling me to do,
Mm-hmm.
and taking advantage of opportunities that He's placed in front of me, and be able to touch people in a way that changes their lives, that may or may not have happened without me.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's huge, man. I think that's what you're doing. I think because like I said, I've been knowing you forever, but this is probably one of the happiest I've ever known you to be as far as with your career. Like when you talk about it, you light up, hey man, I helped such and such today, send me whoever you got, I'll help them. And I think that's that God-given purpose, like you say, you kind of finding your path. Because I think a lot of times as men, like you say, we think so much about our legacy because we know we're gonna leave here at some point in time, right? And
Right.
you don't want to come into this earth and just take and not leave anything behind. And then when you get married and then you have children, that's a whole nother layer of responsibilities because no longer you just responsible for yourself. You're not just going to the Sanderson all day hanging out and doing God knows what. But now you're
Mhm.
responsible for a whole entire family.
Right.
And like you say, you're trying to instill something in your kids. One of my buddies told me something one time. I think I was fussing about the kids, and he was like, "Just keep doing you. Keep pouring into your kids because even though they seem like they're not listening,
Yeah.
it's sinking in. Eventually, they'll come back to the principles that you taught them. And it's kind of like I know one time you told me you kind of have like weekly or monthly financial meetings with your children about budgeting, about planning, and that's huge because I know when I was growing up, we didn't have. It felt like we didn't have enough money to budget, but technically, I know now that you do. It's just all about budgeting. But
Mhm.
the things that you're instilling in your kids, man, that's that legacy. That's that joy when you see when your kid comes and you gets older and like, yeah, hey, I got my Roth IRA going, or I got my 401k going, or what about this investment, or you know what, Dad, I think I want to be a broker, or what, it's just that
Right.
legacy, and you
That's
as a man,
Yeah, so Reagan, my middle child, she wants to be a realtor.
see,
She had some guy come to their school and talk about it,
okay,
and she was like, before he even talked about it, like the couple weeks before that, she was kind of saying maybe I want to do this,
mm-hmm,
and so I actually had set up a meeting um, with her, with this lady to talk to her about what the process looks like
mm-hmm,
trying to get started. And so in the journey of doing that, I'm considering, and I might just move forward, actually
mm-hmm.
get my real estate license as well.
There we
And
go.
so she sent me the stuff. I was just looking at the email before the steps I need to go ahead and take to start taking my
Mm-hmm,
courses. But I may go ahead and get my real estate license as well, and be able to have that in my pocket and do some
mm-hmm,
things with that too. And then so she's already talking about doing that, and kind of because we talk to the kids about under, doing things that they enjoy doing,
mm-hmm,
and if you're gonna have a career and a job, let it be something that you feel um, enjoyment from getting.
mm-hmm.
And so don't just like work at Ryan's and
Use
yeah, I had to
villages.
do it.
Or
Yeah,
you villages, yeah.
I had to do it. Yeah, and I had to do it for little no money,
Mm-hmm,
and working all kind of crazy hours because it's the restaurant business, and I
mm-hmm,
had to do it. It was a stepping stone for me to get to where I needed to be.
mm-hmm.
And there were some other things that even between there, I sold cars.
Oh yeah.
Um, Man, I can't remember. It was like a so net zero internet.
Uh-huh.
So people call.
Hustling.
So I mean, did those things to make ends meet,
Mm-hmm,
and I want to put my kids in a situation where they doing what they're perceived, and it may change, and we
Hmm.
understand that, but right now, chase those things that you think you would enjoy doing, and let me get you exposure to it.
Hmm.
Like even Madison, you talk about the legacy. Like she wants to be a screenwriter, so we moved
Okay.
to um Crosstown. Remember, we
Hmm.
moved to
I
Crosstown,
remember. Yeah.
and we were exposed like to so much of that. Like one of the guy who directed Coming to America, stays
Wow.
down the hall.
Okay.
Coming to
Wow.
America, what he could Dolomite, the Netflix movie.
Yeah.
Greg Brewer. He
Wow.
so she was able to connect with him and
Hmm.
connect with other filmmakers in the Memphis area just by being here,
Hmm.
and that we would have never had exposure to if we went somewhere else. And
Hmm.
she's like, yeah, this is what I want to do.
Hmm.
And so we, had to make a few sacrifices, but we made them for her to be able to go to the school in Atlanta where she's at now to kind of study film and writing and all that stuff.
Hmm.
So,
Well.
hopefully she, I pray that
Hmm.
she pushes forward,
Hmm.
and even if she don't, you know,
Yeah.
we gave a shot, she gave a shot, and we understand that, life is gonna throw curveballs all the time. You
Oh
just have
yeah.
to be ready to pivot,
Hmm.
and adjust, and go to your next thing,
Hmm.
and don't, get too down on yourself.
Right. Well, I think it's huge. One, because I think that's where talking about the generational wealth and not just like financial wealth, like the psychological, the mental wealth, the fact that whatever dreams our kids have, we can encourage those dreams. Like not
Yeah,
saying we wealthy or financially just extremely well off, but
right,
just from us going to get a college education and just the life experiences that we've had and the knowledge that we have, we can pass it on to them. So when your child does come say, I want to be, a filmmaker, you can pour into them. If your child says, I do want to be a real estate agent, you can pour into that child. I think that's it kind of piggybacks to going back to you helping people with home ownership. It's just that exposure and just that opportunity. And I think a lot of times in our communities, we don't have as much opportunity or it's there and there's no one there to guide us toward it, to say, oh no, you can get you a house.
right,
But it's just nobody there to say this is how you do it. They just tell you, oh, you can be anything you want to be, but they don't give you any steps or any support toward trying to be that person. So no, I think that's huge, man. I'm proud of both of them, I take pride in hearing about your kids and the things they're doing, I think
right.
we've always all supported each other's children. So no, I'm looking forward to her first film, seeing her name on the screen.
Me too. Look,
So hey,
I was trying to find this. I was
oh,
trying to
go
find
ahead.
this saying before
Okay.
we we ended, and it was you said something that sparked it. It was about exposure.
Hmm.
Um, I can't find it, but it's I can kind of summarize it though. It
Hey, that's
just
all. Cliff
it,
notes. You all
it
right?
right. So it's really just saying exposure. Um, and exposure increases appetite. I don't know if that's the exact
Okay.
word,
Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
but being exposed to different things changes you in a
Hmm.
way where once you expose, you can't go back
Can't go
to
back.
the old you. You can't go back because
Because you
you've
don't
been
know. You can't say you don't know now.
right.
Because now you've been exposed to it.
Yep. So these are these are uh these are sayings that I'm learning, like I said, in my self
Hmm.
development,
Hmm.
because I'm like, okay, nah, my eyes are open, my
Yeah.
ears are open, and
Hmm.
that things I just had my head down, move, day to day to day,
Hmm.
and now I'm looking at things totally different,
Hmm.
and um, so that's another life lesson too,
Hmm.
self development. You have to grow.
It's ongoing too. It's
Have to
ongoing.
grow, because if you don't grow, you're gonna be stuck where
Hmm.
you are forever,
Yep.
and eventually that's not gonna be good enough.
Yep. And like you saying, it's ongoing because you can't get to where you are now without going through the Ryan, the selling, the net zero. Like you can't get to where you are now without going through those things, like the self-development. You start off, like you say, we both went to college. I went to college and I think I went for psychology. and I had a kind of crazy advisor. He had me an abnormal psych, and I'm like, I know I'm intelligent. Why am I failing? I'm in the park trying to study. I'm skipping basketball for a day, which something I never did back then. And I'm still, so I switch over to sociology, and I still don't even know what I'm gonna do. I just know I want to be a businessman one day.
Yeah.
So it's just this, like you say, as you get older, you realize it's more important for self-development, and it's continuous, it's ongoing. Don't beat yourself up. You're gonna make mistakes. Your mistakes are just the building blocks to your success. It helps you figure out what doesn't work,
Yep.
so you can
Yep.
do, what does. I mean, yeah. So my last couple things is real simple. You got to tell us how they can get in contact with you, the mortgage man, and anything else you want to plug or promote. This is your time to shine.
Man, absolutely. So I'm this is what I'm gonna do because a lot of my everyday job, I'm a bank plus mortgage originator. That's what I do every day.
Okay.
And so I have a web page with them, and it's bank plus dot my mortgage dash online.com/ George Sago IV .html. That's a lot.
Hey, but don't worry. When we have this on the web page, on my web page, I'll make sure I put that in there. We'll make
Yeah.
sure we give them a link to get in contact with you.
Okay. And then so what I'm asking people to do for now, because I'm building something,
Mm-hmm.
and I want people to be able to know where to go when that thing finally happens. And so if you go to George the Mortgage Man, that's my Instagram.
Okay.
That's George underscore the underscore mortgage man. And that's also the TikTok as well.
Okay.
So TikTok, Instagram is George the Mortgage Man, and then Facebook is just George Sago. You can look me up on Facebook. There'll be some things coming on there, but everything is primarily gonna go through that Instagram and that TikTok when it starts to kind of start rolling. And that's just it. And that's just going to be educational things for people to get the information that they need to move forward, or even inspire questions that they have that they can contact me and we can talk about. So that's the goal in that. Eventually, like I said, the programs, ready to buy program, it's been in my mind and in my in my belly. I guess like I'm birthing a baby in my
Mm-hmm.
belly for a
Mm-hmm.
minute, and just kind of talking with people on how to proceed with that, and how to benefit people as they go through that. And the end goal is to put them in a home, not only put them in a home, but show them how to manage the mortgage, show them how to maybe even pay it down with some advanced strategies, pay it down um, even quicker than the 30 years, much quicker than the 30 years that's on most mortgages.
Okay. And most of those resources you spoke about in the beginning, those are free resources with the
Yes.
TikTok. I mean, you
Yeah,
just getting
yeah. Those are
information. Okay.
free. Those are free. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right,
Those
man.
those those resources are free, and like I said, that's just to follow me and get the education. And then as you continue to follow, there might be some other things, some programs that come available
Okay.
um, to get started. And also, um, just real touch on this. So the two biggest hurdles that we have as minority and African American in getting a home are credit and down payment. So I do have some information on some things that I'm doing at Bank Plus to help with both of those. So if someone wants to get more information on note, they can you can put my email in the notes as well, and
Okay.
then they can touch me there. It's George Sago at bankplus.net.
Is it George Sago or just George Sago?
George Sago
And what was the one more time? George Sago.
at bankplus.net.
Okay. Yeah. So what we'll do is that's great information, first of all, and I think it's huge what you're doing. Shoot, I may be looking for a home soon. Well, we're trying to buy some land first, but either way,
Yeah.
even with that, um, but that's huge information, man. I'm definitely gonna make sure when we release the pod, put all your contact information, all your social media handles, and I think it'll be great, man, just to see it. And maybe we can come back and do another pod as a follow up, kind of some of the people that you were able to help and kind of get some testimonials, because I think
Okay.
what you're doing is huge. It's helping, everyone. It's definitely helping minorities, and you don't know whose life you're impacting. It's some
Right.
child who's probably going to be in the project their whole life if it wasn't for you helping their mother or father, or even them, have the dream of home ownership. So I'm proud
Right.
of you, bro. Definitely. Great stuff.
Appreciate it.
Well, if you have anything else before I end our podcast, you can plug
No,
it.
not at the moment, man. I think I'm good. Hopefully when the follow-up comes along, there will be some things I can plug and play where people can link into. But right now though, that's pretty much it, man. I'm just excited to be on here. I appreciate the invite. And if I can help someone or give someone some education or pour into somebody, I'm willing to do that. So reach out to me um, if you're listening, and I appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, thank you, brother, and thank you for your time. Thank you for coming on this platform, and just for the work you do. And again, thank you for the brotherhood. I always appreciate it, and the friendship of the last 20 some years. It seems
Yeah,
kind of funny saying 20 some years because I feel like I'm just 20 some, but
not far from
my
that, bro.
body's set up. I'm not, but anyway, thank you guys. Thank you guys for
Especially your
listening.
body. Nah, just
Hey, I'm telling you, it's a little rough. I'm about to go to the gym as soon as I get done with this podcast. I'm trying to keep myself together. But thank you all for listening. Thank you for listening to the Life Lessons and Legacy